This is Josh Brandon of the Buffalo Bandits, and you're listening to the 716 Sports Podcast.
Back 716 Sports Podcast. Going down on a Tuesday. That's what the kids were saying there a couple months ago, right?
Time flies.
Time flies when you're having fun. I love EDM. I love all the aspects of it. I love the pulsating, thumping noise of a bass drum that somebody's hitting on a keyboard. Just
a man standing alone at the front of a room, jumping up and down and waving his hands.
Possibly with some sort of mascot head on him.
Yeah, definitely.
A bass,
can't show his face in
hitting
public.
a bass drum on a keyboard.
Yep. That's pretty much what music is these days.
Technology is incredible.
What do you think of Ariana Grande?
Justin's got
Give us a
some
call,
hot Ariana
1-900-909-9900.
I went to the show here a couple weeks ago. I was there.
I went to the Timberlake show. It was a great time.
I did too.
Yeah. Timberlake's amazing. Great performer. Tennessee Kids. It's like a 21-piece band, man. They were awesome.
I went by myself, actually.
That's even better.
I had no plans to go. It's a pizza plant.
Okay.
And there's some random girls behind me had extra ticket because their friend couldn't go to the rescheduled date.
Right.
And I haggled them for an hour and a half.
Yeah.
And I bought the ticket for $50 and a round of shots.
It's not a bad deal.
All right. Where were your seats?
Row 13.
That's a really good deal.
Okay. I would say that works out then for you.
See, I've never been a fan of his music, but he does all right, like on Saturday Night Live and stuff like that.
Yeah, he's a good musician.
He's a renaissance man.
I find him more. If he tried to be a comedian, I think I could go with that.
I was at a brewery that was playing Dick in a Box very loudly, and that brought me back to my glory days.
Man, throwback.
Shout out to Crooked Stave in Denver, Colorado for blasting that into my ears at 10 o'clock at night.
That sounds like good times. Jeff, you let's just catch up. What we all did on our spring vacations. Jeff, you went to WrestleMania.
I went to
weekend.
WrestleMania.
How was that?
Awesome. It's my third in my life, and I hadn't been for a while, so I hadn't been in New York City in a long time either, so
yeah.
Took 5.5-ish days to the city and was a super tourist, watched a bunch of pro wrestling, and now I'm back.
Were you there for the full, 7 hours, was it?
Yeah, it's a 7-hour show. So the main card, the undercard, the pre-show that showed on everything you could watch for free to try to get you to convince you to buy the main card started at 5, and then the show wrapped up around midnight. We got back to Brooklyn about 3 in the morning.
Yep.
Because the show was in the
Mass
Meadowlands.
transit, baby.
And there was just one train out. People who were waiting for Ubers were still waiting for Ubers when I went to sleep.
That sounds like pure hell.
Damn.
Did you go to Raw or SmackDown or no?
I went to Raw.
Okay.
Saw The Undertaker, which is always cool.
Hey,
I went to
nothing wrong with that.
NXT on Friday.
Very
Went to
good.
the Ring
That's
of
the
Honor show at
best
the
show.
Garden.
Best show ever.
NXT was awesome.
Maybe. Somehow, maybe.
It's always the best show of the weekend every time.
Yeah, very cool. Well, glad you had fun. Justin, you had Dingus Day yesterday.
Yeah, Dings Day. I went pretty hard.
Congrats to your keys.
Lost my keys. I didn't lose them at Dings Day. I lost them inside of my own house.
They're somewhere in the house. The call is coming from inside the house.
That's way better.
Yeah.
If I wasn't so drunk, I remember where I put them.
Yeah.
A few too many beers last night.
Have you walked around with a metal detector yet?
I turned this house upside down with my wife. They're not here.
Are they in your car?
No. My car's locked.
Yeah.
Oh.
I don't see your point.
Especially if I got a hockey tournament this weekend,
Yeah.
and my hockey stuff's in my car.
I hate to see
I
it.
can't get into my car.
I'm sure that smells nice.
Just bacon in there.
I never take it out.
I think you just blowing a hairdryer on the glass was unnecessary, but whatever you're going to do. Mike, you've been going on quite a tweet storm recently for you. Really engaging on that social media platform, huh?
What, 3 tweets in 2 weeks or something?
That is a lot for
Couldn't believe it. And, well, that's great. I got
Probably the stupidest tweet ever, though.
That's all right. They don't all have to be winners. Steve just texted me that when he gets here tonight, he wants to discuss Elizabeth Warren's platform. So that should be pretty interesting to check out. We'll, when he gets here, we'll make sure we give him plenty of time to clarify that.
Did you enjoy your long reprise from this podcast, Bill? I know you were all over the place, traveling, exploring the world.
Well, I appeared via satellite for the wrap of the Sabres suck bracket or whatever we're calling it. I mean, that's colloquially what we were calling it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was good. I went to the Dominican Republic for a week. We brought 3 children, ages 7 and under, to a place outside the country. So that was fascinating. It worked out fine, though.
Fun flight down?
The longest flight was the one coming back. We went through Philadelphia. So it was about 3.5 hours. But they give you TVs on your free TVs, not like the ones you have to pull up on an iPad or on an iPhone. So
much better than my Southwest flight from Baltimore to Denver, where I had no such TV.
Yeah, that
was 4 hours. That was a long day.
Oh, that's a long one. Yeah. And then we also went down to North Carolina for a birthday party. So we were
world
travelers. Yeah, the world, as they say, can be seen through the eyes of Punta Cana and Raleigh. So that's what
I feel like I have heard that before.
I think I have that. My grandmother used to have that crocheted on a pillow on her couch. So
I think we might have jumped the bracket a little bit too early, because if Robin Lehner wins the Vezina, that would have won this. That would have won this bracket running away.
Well, we're watching. Spoiler alert as to what time this is being recorded, but we're currently watching Toronto and Boston Game 7. Followed by Vegas and San Jose. We'll probably bleed into our recording this evening. But yeah, Robin Lehner was named one of the 3 Vezina finalists. Pretty good week for the Vezina finalists, I would argue. Ben Bishop looking pretty good as well.
Awesome start to his postseason.
So, yeah, overall, it's fun to watch good hockey again.
You forget how fun the sport is when there's 2 good teams playing it.
Well, and I am going to do something that is sacrilege here, but I was watching Game 6 between Washington and Carolina last night, and boy, that crowd was just having the time of their lives. And it just, wouldn't it be fun? Wouldn't it be nice if we could actually get that at some point again?
I'm all aboard Carolina winning that series.
I'm fine with it. Who cares? I mean, I don't know. Block me on Twitter.
Root for the Caps, man.
I'm fine with new things. And that's what this playoffs has provided. In a way that we've seen, there's no Chicago and LA. They were the original, dynasties from this decade. We've seen Tampa be a dominant team. They get swept out. We've seen Pittsburgh win back-to-back. They were swept out as well. It's nice to see, to me at least. It piques my interest to see potentially
Nashville for the last 3 or 4 years has been good for
right. Nashville again, also losing to Dallas last night. Like we're seeing different things, and that's okay.
Dallas, St. Louis, Columbus, all advancing.
Yeah, good for them, man. That's cool. If Carolina pulls this off, if the Islanders can, I mean, it's not improbable that we could have an Islanders Blue Jacket series. It's recency bias, but
remember what it looked like the Sabres were definitely gonna trade away a pick that St. Louis is quickly climbing their way out of.
At one point, the Sabres were picking 30th or 31st actually, and the Blues were picking 4th, I think. At that point, I mean, the Blues were complete garbage, and I think they were the second best team in the NHL in the second half of the season, and they've continued on, beating Winnipeg. It's been very fascinating to watch playoff hockey, and there's teams that we're watching that. I'm not gonna lie, I don't watch very much Stars during the regular season. But you get an opportunity to see what other teams are doing. It's fascinating to see, because when you're so hyper focused on a team that struggles so much, you don't really get to an opportunity, except for when maybe once or twice a year when you're watching a team come through.
But at least we build our team the right way, high character guys. Alex Radulov, low character guy. Second round, but low character guy. Ryan O'Reilly didn't want to be here, low character guy. Nominated for the Selke, but not here, not on our team. All these teams, it weirdly never seems like an issue for these other teams to have the Tyler Seguins of the world.
Somehow they figure out a way.
It's amazing. It's almost like winning fixes a lot of locker room issues.
Tyler Seguin. Immature boy.
The fact that Boston is still as good as they are is a credit to who they've continued to develop. But it's just imagine that Boston team if they didn't just get rid of so many good young players. It's disgusting.
Dougie Hamilton, right? Also, at one point. He's not right. Tyler Seguin, but he's somebody. Yeah. They could certainly use him at some point. So, have you been enjoying the playoff hockey there, Justin?
I haven't watched too much of it, but I've been watching this series the most. I hate both teams. But you got to root for Boston.
I would say it's been the marquee. Doc Emmerich's calling it. It's certainly been promoted, I think, as the main event of the first round. I think they got 2 games on Big NBC for the series as well, which tends to be the bellwether of what, at least with the TV marketing people want you to be paying attention to.
Well, certainly the biggest markets, too, which helps. You get Boston and Toronto, 2 huge hockey markets. A lot of the smaller markets are advancing, which I think is great for those teams in those markets, but
that could hurt viewership.
It could hurt the ratings. I don't think that they should live or die by the ratings, But they've said they're going to stick with this format indefinitely moving forward in spite of everyone's reticence. And
the thing is, the
format worked out great this year, so I don't care.
I like the format in the playoffs because it provides a good, fun first round. But the players hate it for good reason. Because what's the point of finishing top in the number one?
Honestly, to me, and I've said this, and I'll continue to say it, and it's never going to happen because I think the players' unions will continue to fight it. But I think the NHL and the NBA, for that matter, should just go straight 1 through 16. Mm-hmm. You can still devise up your schedules via some sort of geographical, clumping. If you really maybe focus on 4 teams in a region, like I could see if the Sabres were put together with the Leafs, the Senators, and the Red Wings or something like that, because Montreal can have 2 of the New York teams and Boston, something like that. But just make something that makes geographical sense, and maybe you play them a few more times a year. And then also we should reduce to 70 games. But again, that's something that's never going to happen. So
I love the straight 1 for 16 idea, because just imagine the possibilities it opens. Well, this series has to happen in the first or second round.
Oh, don't you remember the old divisions when LA would be playing Toronto or whatever? And why did it not matter in the 80s?
Just
and then all of a sudden
imagine
they felt like they had to do it when they realigned in 95.
Imagine a Montreal-Toronto Stanley Cup.
Right. You can do that.
That would be off the charts.
It creates some very interesting matchups for Stanley Cup finals if you just go straight 1 through 16.
Your Philly Pittsburghs or Chicago St. Louis's are possible finals matchups, not just conference finals at best.
Right. I mean, it'd be fun if I was still living in California to have an Anaheim LA Stanley Cup final. I mean, obviously right now that ship has sailed for both teams, but without that being...
Well, the Kings hired Todd McClellan, so that'll fix all their issues.
Well, we can talk about that a little bit.
So it's been a minute since we've been here, long enough that in the interim, the Sabres ended our discussions about what they should do and moved on and fired Phil Housley. And then courted, reportedly, Todd McClellan, who said no. I think that might end up working out for the best for the Sabres, that he did not want to come here.
Now, we've had a little bit of discussion. Justin, you were kind of in on the idea of Todd McClellan, I think, a little bit more than others here in the room.
Yeah, I liked him. I would have been happy if he came here. He's a good coach. He had a terrible team in Edmonton. He would have came to such here as well, but a lot of good years in San Jose. And you want to talk the playoffs? You never won in the playoffs. Coaches don't play in the playoffs. I hate that narrative. Players play, coaches don't play.
He also had the exact same team with Connor McDavid and couldn't win with them. He's going to come here with Jack and try to do the same thing.
Yeah, I don't think he's a bad coach. I wouldn't have hated it. That's all I'm saying. I think he's a good players coach. I think he's a guy that would gain the respect of the room right away and be able to keep it. Which is what I'm interested in right now.
I don't know what to do. I understand what you're saying, and now I don't know what type of coach. You tried the first-time coach, you tried the veteran coach in Bilesma.
Player coach Jason Pominville received a lot of votes.
He did. That's
Dan
true.
Bilesma kind of took himself way too seriously. He kind of came in kind of like he was a god or something. You know what I mean?
But I just want a coach that'll give me the same lines for 15 games before throwing everything away, right? Like, it just seems like Housley and Bilesma could never sit still
point,
and let
one
something
game would
gel.
be an improvement.
Yeah.
And I know
Give me
that
3 full periods.
Right. Well, yes. Honest to God, when did a Sabres team consistently play 3 periods last? 2010.
Around that time of the Ville Lanoister goal.
That's right. I'm going back to that division championship team. It feels like it's been absolutely forever and ever, and it's so frustrating. So I'm ready for new ideas. I know that this Swedish national coach whose name always escapes me.
Gronberg?
He is getting a lot of run, and I think that he thinks a little bit differently. His interviews have kind of sold me on maybe having a different philosophy. He called basically hockey a puzzle, and when the puck is in one position, one guy may think one way and another may think another. And I kind of like that idea where at least you're willing to try. If you're going to be bad, then at least give me some entertainment and try and do something different. And that's why I do not want Guy Boucher as the coach here.
Nope.
When the 1-3-1 trap came in, it definitely worked for the first season that he brought it to each city, right?
Yeah.
So he brought it to Tampa, and then he brought it to Ottawa, and both of those teams, it worked for him. It's a gimmick, but at least there's an idea, right?
There's something behind it.
You're trying to do something different, and it doesn't have lasting power, and maybe there are other ways that you can have something a little bit more sustained, but just try something different, because I don't know what have we seen the last 4 or 5 years?
I'm
like,
for
I don't
anything
even know
that
what
is
this
different.
is at this point.
We're just in a holding pattern with all these coaches who trying to figure out what to do. I like the Swedish guy. I like maybe that European hockey mindset would open up this offense a little bit. Justin always talks about how much more fun it is sometimes to watch the KHL, the bigger ice, bigger picture mindset. And plus, he's got a good rapport and would have an understanding about a number of our players. I mean, there's a lot of Swedish players on the team he's worked with.
Right.
Guys like Dahlin, Ristolainen.
Right.
He can't hurt. I mean, I think he's going to get
some
a good look.
level
I
of
think Taylor
rapport
gets a
is
good
a
look.
thing, right? I don't think that's a bad idea to go for it.
I just want a guy that a coach is kind of like a figurehead. The assistant coaches really do a lot of the coaching and scheming. I just want a guy that's gonna come in and control the room, keep everyone's attention, and hand their respect. That's the thing that's been missing in this locker room. A bunch of young kids just don't respect the coaches. Or Dan Boswell came in here. That's what the Pukuls they fired both Murray and.
But isn't that the role?
Okay,
that's fine that they don't respect it. Isn't that the role of a guy like Jason Pominville or
any sort of veteran
Zach
or
Bogosian,
leadership
I
on
guess.
the team?
Yeah,
I don't know.
I suppose
that just seems like it's kind of more of a cliche than what may actually be happening to me.
I mean, part of it for me.
But I understand what you're saying too, because Jack Eichel, Sam Reinhart, they haven't been on a winning team since college or junior.
Maybe I shouldn't say that they don't respect the coaches. I'm just lack of a better.
But they could tune them out.
Yeah.
What sounded, and I can't remember where we heard it. There was conversation that when the Sabres were willing to play Housley's system, things were okay. But they never wanted to play in the system. And I think once things broke down, they would want to freestyle, and then that kind of sent everything astray. So,
been gone are those days of Tyler Ennis freestyling with the puck in the offensive zone for a minute every shift.
You know who I love to coach this team? John Tortorella.
I
I
love
would,
John Tortorella.
I would love Torts as a coach on this team.
It would just be refreshing to have a coach actually give you a straight fucking answer for once. Instead of be like, I liked our effort today. You lost 7 to fucking nothing, coach.
You know what's weird
At
though?
that point, what's effort?
Yeah,
7 to
for real.
nothing.
yeah.
It was weird about this whole thing is that there aren't even rumors. There's nothing. There's
The
always
only rumor was
there's
McClellan.
Always
Do
rumors.
you think it's Chris Taylor at this point?
I
That they
feel
just-
like it has to be.
I don't think that there's. I don't think
So
anything's
it's-
going to happen without them talking to Chris Taylor.
Chris Taylor, the coach of the Amherst, who
So it's
are
either Taylor,
playing.
and they're waiting for that to happen.
Yep.
Or Gronborg. I don't know what his name is or how to say it.
Someday we'll find out.
But isn't he the coach for Team Sweden international
he's-
team?
So they're going to be over here or wherever the IHF.
So maybe they're waiting
championships
for
are.
one of these two to
Sure.
end.
It doesn't seem like, because like you said, there's been nothing. We're getting absolutely nothing from
I
any
like
rumors
Taylor.
or anything.
I think I don't really need the big sexy hire. I want the right hire, and I think Taylor is the unsexy hire, but I think he's probably the right guy.
Yeah.
And but it's good, but it just fits it's just so fitting, like not a good fit because it's all the Sabres nostalgia, ex-Sabre, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's what everyone's tired of with the Pagulas. They bring, you know what I mean?
There's too much revering. These aren't the Maple Leafs or the Canadiens, okay? Like, I understand that there are great players in team history, and I get all that, but there doesn't always have to be some sort of connection with these guys, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's okay to... And look, they admitted they were wrong. We didn't think... Housley seemed like he was going to go into his third year and just be a lame duck coach, right?
Yeah.
And they were going to fire him after 15 games and hope that was your magic elixir that was going to push you into the playoffs. But I do give him credit because it was a move that I didn't think that it actually... I know that they fired Bylsma after 2 years. I would argue that the Housley firing felt a little bit out of character, just in the sense that this was a guy who was a legend or whatever you want to say. It's certainly a Hall of Fame caliber player.
It was bad though.
It was real bad, and it got bad, and it got toxic, and it was unwatchable after January.
The wheels came off.
Unwatchable.
It came off pretty quick, and then they were able to get him remotely close to being back on.
Yeah. All he had to do to keep his job was be below average after the streak. But he was so far below that they had to look the fans in the face, tell them that they were raising ticket prices and that they're keeping Phil Housley, and some part of that wasn't clicking.
Have they said that they're raising ticket prices?
Not to the public.
Haven't announced it yet.
So rumor be what rumor be. You heard it here first or second.
Yeah. I heard a rumor. Yeah.
So just keep that in mind when they announce the new coach, and then immediately bury that in a press release. Friday afternoon.
They're very good at the news dumps around here. It's so we thought that we were going to have something to talk about with the coaching search. Not the case.
Kind of like I'm holding off on the show here. It's like maybe we got a coach. Maybe we have a coach.
Well, another thing that happened with the Sabres, they end up dropping the lottery, the draft lottery, 2 spots to 7th. So they're not going to be getting one of the, the Jack Hughes types or Keppo or any of those guys. There's still some pretty good prospects. I don't know if there's anybody that's going to be making, if they even want to have a guy that's going to have an immediate impact on the team this year. Right now they have, and changes day to day, but they do have Alex Turcotte, who is a center in the U.S. U18 program, who are killing it. Apparently, they have a ton of prospects that are going to be eligible for this draft, and the Canadian boys are actually not really featured as prominently as they typically are. But Turcotte could certainly be a contributor, and you can never have enough enough centers.
Yeah.
You can always have enough senators, never enough centers.
Oh, there's a good old fight at the end of the Leafs-Bruins game.
That's hilarious. And now they're going to go shake hands, and I'm sure they're going to mean it.
These teams like each other.
Congratulations.
A lot.
Once again to Mike Babcock. Not you. Mike Babcock, killing it here for the Leafs right now.
Think he gets fired?
No. Didn't he sign like a 10-year deal?
I don't know.
I'm pretty sure.
I think he's a pretty overrated coach.
Take him here in an instant compared to what we have.
Yeah.
I mean, he did take Anaheim to their first Stanley Cup final in 2003.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, Toronto was some hot garbage before he showed up.
He did
so
some things.
He
Detroit
builds up teams pretty well.
Too. Yeah. No, I think he's fine.
Yeah, Toronto wasn't very good. Detroit was. I mean, they were in the middle of their playoff streak, but I don't think they were.
I don't think that streak lasts as long as it did without him.
Right.
So, I think we can all agree. I don't know, the best coach in the NHL. I think it's Barry Trotz, right? I don't. Sound cliche, but
I don't think it's even close right now.
That Islanders team was nothing last year,
and they
lost their best player, and their best player is gone. And they're playing in the second round because they've been sitting around for a week. It's incredible, man. Think about that. Yeah, it is good. I'm not so cold-blooded that I don't mind. And, I can feel compassion for individual players and teams and situations. And that's actually maybe one of the funnest things to see is the Islanders actually playing on Long Island instead of in Brooklyn. That atmosphere is incredible.
Oh, it's great. It's a whole different world.
It's too bad political bullshit.
Barclays
got
is
in the
a
way.
weird building.
Well, it wasn't built for hockey, and they put a hockey team in. It was built for concerts and basketball.
Yeah,
that's what it was. And they got the nets, and they get about 35 college games every year. Just teams traveling in that don't play at MSG. They go to Brooklyn and all that. But hockey was never a consideration for it. It was, and there's, the Suns play there now, but the Coyotes played for years at what was then America West Arena.
Yeah, they played there for a few years, and they had the obstructed views at the one end.
Right, so it's not like it's unprecedented to have this. But anyway, Boston will be playing the Blue Jackets now in the first round. We still don't know half the matchups currently. I think the only one that was settled was Stars Blues. And then the winner of Vegas, San Jose, will draw Colorado, and Capitals Hurricanes winner will get the Islanders. So
semi-occasional reminder that Colorado has Ottawa's first round pick.
that's funny.
and that Matt Duchene is playing on Columbus, who is also going to the second round.
Ottawa
at no point in this, Ottawa gets anything positive.
Ottawa doing great work.
They just got it done from both sides.
Absolutely fantastic. So, anything else that we want to touch on
for hockey
with the Sabres, or anything else hockey? I don't really have much else at this point.
Not much we can talk about until the only other thing was it's the Cole McCarr thing was really cool too. Winning Hobie Baker, playing Frozen 4 here, showing up for Game 3, scoring a goal in the first period
against the team that you rooted for as a kid.
Yeah,
and your whole family is still fans of. Apparently, his mom and dad said that there were relatives that were not going to be rooting for the Avalanche, and they were still going to be rooting for the Flames.
That's super cool for him, though.
Yeah, and very cool. Did anybody, Justin? You went to the Frozen 4. What did you think?
Yeah, I went to all of them, and it was
How is the atmosphere? Because everybody was just bitching about all the empty seats on Twitter. So
and it was pretty empty in there. It was
especially for the semis. It looked a little more full for the final.
Yeah, it was a little more full for the final, but it was still pretty empty for that event. But the semis, it was expensive, and I didn't even pay.
The rumor is that some of those executives that were shuffled out of Pagula Sports and Entertainment back, one of their big red herrings was be unable to sell to the market the Frozen 4, which hadn't been here, I believe it was 16 years or something like that.
Yeah, it was a long time ago. I don't think it was that long. I don't think it was that long ago. I know Vanek played in it here.
I think it was 2002 or 2003. So I don't know. It wasn't a great look for the Sabres, or for Buffalo overall. But I also the NCAA, I guess, controlled a lot of the tickets and a lot of the pricing. So it's tough when that happens. But the 300s, which typically are where you're more likely to see a bunch of tickets going out for the market into the marketplace, seemed just basically completely empty.
Yeah, the games are boring too. The seconds of
I only watched it like the last 10 minutes of the final, so I didn't really get it.
Was so boring.
Yeah.
It was like pure domination by Duluth. And it wasn't even fun.
And
domination.
Duluth looked like they were head and shoulder. I mean, I don't know. UMass was actually one of the protected seeds, right? But
yeah, the UMass, it was like a Cinderella story kind of. They probably shouldn't have been there, but they.
Well, UMass 3 years ago was one of the worst programs in the NCAA. So good for them. Team that never even been to the final Frozen 4 before. So a cool moment for them. But I mean, inside though, is it different? Just you got pep bands and you got kind of a different type of crowd.
It's a different atmosphere.
Yeah.
I tell you what, it was actually better than being a Sabres game.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I'm sure it was.
They actually did presentation things. Their host, I forget his name, he was really good. Way better than
DJ Milk.
DJ Milk's good. I like DJ Milk. He's not the host of the whole event though.
That's fair.
I think he used Gensler, right?
Yeah, Rich Gensler.
Lauren Hall.
Well,
no, she doesn't do it anymore.
I know.
But I thought the game presentation was way better than Sabres game. They did some cool stuff. The pep bands were fun.
I said Eric and I got a chance to call the Atlantic Hockey Championships, and that building, even at Harbor Center, was so fun for college hockey. Pep bands, and we got through the RIT Niagara game with dueling fan base chants and everything. You don't get that in pro sports, like mixed buildings like that. It was so fun.
College atmospheres are so much better, in having been to many football and basketball games as well. Like they're just, and not just like a UB game. I'm talking about, big time, for lack of a better term for it, bigger time action. I mean, it can be really fun to check out. But it was
a different environment because it was kind of like an expensive social hangout. Because like there's a lot of fair weather fans.
Were they
there.
selling alcohol?
Yeah.
Okay. Because when I went to the NCAA tournament in 2004 and 2007 for basketball, and at that point they weren't selling alcohol inside the arena.
They were IDing like crazy though. I got ID for the first time in years.
Like it looked.
Yeah, I heard they recently changed that rule that you could sell alcohol to inside arenas hosting college events.
And I know that a lot of on-campus facilities now do sell. It's a limited beer. They're not selling you like you're not getting out like Goldschlager shots or something like that. But
no shots. That's the thing. It's
exactly.
Beer only.
Beer only. Okay,
no shots.
So no mixed drinks or anything like that. Okay. Well, that's cool. Nice
Goldschlager shots.
There's a big North Dakota fan base there. There's so many North Dakota jerseys there.
Yeah.
Who do they root for?
I believe that they root for their logo on the front that they're not allowed to wear anymore in real life.
Well, what team do they root for that's there? Or they just kind of there
that's
because
the
they
thing.
for good hockey.
There's a bunch of fair weather fans that were just there to be there to watch hockey and didn't have any rooting interest. So that's why it's a different atmosphere. There's a bunch of people just hanging out, sitting down, talking, bullshitting the whole time.
Right.
And I barely pay attention to the games. I was just hanging out, talking to people around me. And they were boring. So it was like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Who did, I don't even remember who UMass, because I know it was Providence and Duluth. Who did UMass play in the
Denver.
Denver, that's it. And who won the Atlantic hockey?
AIC.
Oh yeah, they were like
They are historically an absolutely
the worst,
terrible program.
Yeah, the biggest
so
tire
not
fire.
only that, they won. So all 3 games in the championships, both semis and their final, went to overtime.
Yeah.
And then they went and beat St. Cloud in the first round. So
Oh,
good for them.
they were the best this year, right?
Yeah. Wow. They went in as the low seed.
And that's all.
So good for AIC. They were one more win away from coming back. Eric and I, when we signed off for the tournament, was like, win 2 games, come back across the street. We never thought it would happen. They came pretty close.
That would be pretty incredible.
To come back and play in Buffalo.
That NCAA hockey, the tournament is so, I mean, because you're talking about one hockey game where a couple bounces and an AIC can beat a St. Cloud or something like that. Could you imagine if, the NHL was a single elimination tournament? You're never going to get the right answer.
No.
Pretty incredible. Well, that's cool. Hockey is done. Jeff, why don't you talk real quick? Bandits have confirmed that they will be the top overall seed in the East.
Yeah,
is that
so
correct?
they had their last regular season home game on Saturday, defeating the New England Black Wolves 12-6. Held New England to 1 goal the entire second half, so that was pretty cool. It was a close game until about halftime, and then Bandits put on the afterburners and just kind of ran away with it.
Rather impressive in box lacrosse to hold somebody to 1 goal for an entire half.
And they've done it a handful of times this season. They had that 4-goal home game where they allowed Rochester to score 1 goal every quarter exactly.
Yep.
I mean, when Vino and the defense are on, and the defense certainly had their first half struggles.
Yeah, the defense did not look very good at all the first half. They were giving up too many opportunities right on the crease.
Yeah, but Vin's able to hold a lot of those out, and then the defense looked like they went back to the locker room and settled down and came out for the second half playing a lot more aggressively and taking a lot of those chances away. And that combined with a surprising loss by Georgia to 3-14 Philadelphia gave Buffalo first place in the East, and by proxy of that as well, first place in the NLL. So they have home field advantage for the playoffs. First game is going to be against the Black Wolves again on the 4th of May. First 2 rounds in the NLL, for those of you who aren't as aware, are one and done. So they would play at home on the 4th, at home on the 11th in the conference finals, and then the championship is a best of 3. It'll be home, away, home. Exact dates are not announced for a lot of this. There is a Saturday concert on what would be the 3rd week after that at KeyBank Center. But an awesome run by this team, and 13 wins for Matt Vins. Offense getting Josh Byrne back into the fold. Even without Sean Evans, they looked really good for a game. It's championship or bust. You got to feel for this team right now when they get a chance to play the team that they just stomped. Again in the first round.
Yeah, pretty good season overall for the Bandits, of course.
This is a team that was last in the league not too long ago, so it's been a very good turnaround.
I think I went to one game 3 years ago, maybe. It was the last game, and it was only a 9-team league. And by losing, the Bandits were the one team that didn't go to the playoffs.
Yeah.
So
that was a
nice turnaround. Always a fun atmosphere in Bandit Land. Didn't get a chance to go down there this year, but always have a good time down there. So very good. So once the playoffs actually get going, we can talk about that. I'm sure we'll be able to score an interview or two.
Yeah, we'll probably preview that more on next week's show. It's going to be a week from Saturday is the first playoff game.
Very good. So the last big story to touch on, the Bills, the NFL draft beginning on Thursday, 9th overall pick. A lot of different directions right now for this Bills team that I've seen. Everybody is mocking something different, and there's even rumors that a couple teams have been inquiring about moving up to take the Bills' 9th overall pick. Of course, the last time the Bills traded their first-round pick and moved down, they gave up maybe the best quarterback in the history of the NFL, TVD. But it's certainly
jury's out on that one.
Well, if you're reading ESPN over the weekend, they were really pushing the fact that the Pat Mahomes trade may be the best of all time. So
I'll never hate a team for trading down. It didn't work out that time, but
Tre'Davious White is fine.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that there was definitely ESPN was definitely pushing something here over the weekend. But
I like that NFL.com mock that Justin just pulled up.
As of now, Justin, can you just scooch over there a little bit? So NFL.com will go with the Charles Davis mock. Right now they have TJ Hawkinson, who is moved ahead of everybody else and is definitely now considered to be the top tight end prospect in the draft. So
I like that a lot. I would love to have him on this team.
Redshirt sophomore.
Just any kind of weapon like that. If you want to find out what Josh Allen can do, continue giving him weapons. Getting John Brown and Cole Beasley, TJ Yeldon, apparently. These are all steps to give a quarterback every possible weapon in every scenario, every formation, every package he can be dealing with. But now in the post-Charles Clay era that we live in, a guy like Hawkinson would be a nice complement over the middle of the field, and we know how much young quarterbacks love throwing to tight ends.
The Bills have not had a tight end. I believe it's been 18 years since a tight end finished in the top 10 in catches. That was a Bill.
Is that Reamersma?
Yeah. I think it was 2001, Jay Reamersma. It's been a while.
That name's going back.
Jay Reamersma.
Not really
Quinn
a thing.
Early.
Yeah.
Pete Metzelars.
So, a couple other names to talk about.
Ed Oliver is certainly another name to talk about.
Well, we can talk about Ed Oliver. ESPN's the NFL Nation writers did their mock. Mike Rodak has the Bills, the way everything breaks there, because the Lions take Hawkinson at 8 right ahead of them. They have Juwan Taylor, offensive tackle of Florida. Certainly we've seen mentions early on. Mocks had the Bills oftentimes taking Jonah Williams as well from Alabama. So certainly a couple guys that you could see potentially being taken. It does appear basically at this point it's Kyler Murray at 1, Nick Bosa at 2, and then things can kind of get a little bit crazy from there. What would you think of, we know that the Bills spent a lot of money on upgrading the offensive line this offseason, but what would you think about taking a younger guy at this point, especially one that can slide in at left or right tackle?
I don't hate it. You got a lot of new guys in, but you still want to get that kind of blue chip guy you can build the line around moving forward too, I feel like.
Yeah, it gives you a few more years. A young guy, offensive tackle, gives you a few more years that you wouldn't have with a free agent that just came in, that give him a few more years to build around him.
So, Justin, you just pulled up another mock. Who's this one this time?
Montez Sweat, which is interesting because they're saying he's dropping off most boards because of his heart issue or something that flared up.
Well, you hate it when those heart issues flare up, but in all seriousness, Sweat was another stud, Mississippi State, SEC. Any SEC defensive lineman that can excel, you can pretty much expect there will be a top pick. And
well, they said he had some. Estelle Capaccio was talking about on WGR. Some doctors found some serious heart issue, and he was dropped off a lot of boards. So I don't think he's even going in the first round. But this was written on today actually. So
if Josh Allen goes and is on the board at number 9, do the Bills have to take him because of how much difficult it would make every announcer's life ever?
It'd be amazing if Josh Allen quarterback the offense, Josh Allen quarterback the defense.
Yeah,
that would be an incredible moment if
that's way further down
if the Bills actually got Josh Allen. That would really be something. Overall, so just a few other things. Ed Oliver is Mel Kiper's 9th overall prospect. Now, that doesn't mean that he's mocking him necessarily to that. Oliver has been the one that's all over. I've now seen mocks that have Ed Oliver going 4th to the Raiders, and then I see some that still have him going down in the teens. So Oliver seems to be one of those guys where beauty being in the eye of the beholder, he seems like one of the guys that this whole thing can swing and pivot on.
Before the season started in college football, he was considered to be 1A, 1B with Bosa, and he's fallen off. And I think it's just harder for a defensive tackle, like a true defensive tackle, to get noticed compared to an edge rusher. Like, it was all Jadeveon Clowney had to do was blow one guy up in the backfield, and people talked about him for his entire college career until he went at the top of the draft. Ed Oliver would have to just be mauling guys in the middle to get the kind of attention that Sweat or Allen or Gary or Bosa is getting, and I think that might be to his detriment. I still think he's one of the better players in this draft
Absolutely,
class.
And I think he would excel. All indications are that he would excel in a 4-3. He was from day one. Now he's kind of had a little bit of a unique path as a college football fan. He was a 5-star guy that went to the University of Houston. University of Houston, not a Power 5 school, a very successful school at what they've done. They've been to a recent, New Year's Six Bowl 4 years ago, and have definitely made a lot of noise. But and actually, their coach ended up, after 2 seasons, he went to Texas and is currently the head coach there. So a nice pedigree, certainly. One of the top, I don't know, probably top 5 overall group of 5 schools, but had some injury issues, had some issues with his coach, who has, after 2 seasons, was fired. So the very ambiguous red flag when it comes to character issues is something that will be cited about him. But man, I the more I look at it, I think he would be my ideal pick, is Ed Oliver. I think he can always use a little bit of help in the interior, and I think that he could definitely supply that, right?
You need the next Kyle Williams for your defense. You need a guy like that who can just hold that line together. If you become a team that's... think of how easy it's been at points to run on this Bills team. A guy like that in the middle of the line cements a line that would be very difficult to run against. And I like the secondary that we have here. If you force quarterbacks to have to drop back and throw more, it makes any defense's life easier.
I just think that he's a generational talent, and it would be a shame to let him pass up for any sort of perceived... And he's a little bit smaller, too. People aren't in love with his size, but I don't know. He seems like a guy that could be lasting here for a long time. So, once again, we can make up a whole bunch of reasons as to why the Bills should be taking so-and-so over so-and-so. We don't really know. They're in a position where things could be completely different depending on what teams right ahead of them at 7 and 8 do. So it's kind of hard to say, but I think we're all kind of either in on the offensive line, defensive line, or tight end. I'm not interested in wideouts.
Best player available who fits a position in need, and it's hard to say which of those is the biggest need.
Yeah, I can't imagine them going defensive back again.
It would be hard to see. I've seen some mocks saying it, but I think those are mocks by people that are unaware of how this team is really structured.
I mean, like a guy, I don't know if a guy like Greedy Williams fell or something like that. Obviously,
Greedy Williams is really good,
incredible, but I just
where's he on this one?
It's the same thing that we were talking about.
He's on the board on this one
earlier with like Josh Allen. Like Josh Allen's not falling to 9 at this point, so it kind of seems like a moot point. But
everyone's got like Greedy. This one has Greedy Williams going 20 to Pittsburgh. I don't see that one either.
I don't know, man.
It's so hard to predict.
It is.
And one trade up, one trade down changes everything. There can be a rush on DNs, there's a rush on quarterbacks.
And every year you have that one player that unexpectedly drops for whatever reason.
Like Larry Tunsil and his marijuana mess.
Yeah.
Well, we kind of had a better reason for that. Like Aaron Rodgers and his grudge that he held against Mike McCarthy to this day.
Geno Smith in the blue room for...
That one made sense, though. In retrospect, that one was an accurate drop. So we'll see when it happens on Thursday. It's exciting, as always. I don't know. If there's one thing that the Bills sell us better than anything else, it's hope. So we have hope, right?
Hope. Something like that.
This is the first time I'm looking forward to season in a while. I like a lot of the offseason moves. Like, I think he's really going in. It makes smart moves this offseason, and you don't really see that often out of the Bills.
Only a few moves are questionable. The whole running back thing, I'll save for another time because at least they've gotten rid of Chris Ivory. But
I think everybody's underrating the moves the Bills made this offseason.
It's just got to mesh, and a lot of it comes down to Josh Allen's development. He's got to be better. He may not even have the luxury to be incrementally better. We may need to see legitimate progress to be made. He's got 4 peers that all rated differently depending on, where and when you were watching him in the season. But he isn't last, and I think there were a lot of people that thought that Josh Allen was going to be 5th out of 5. with the 5 first-round quarterbacks after last season.
I mean, one of those other guys might literally be traded in the next 48 hours.
Right. And he look, I would have taken Josh Rosen over Josh Allen. After one season, the Bills made the right decision. So we will see what comes of it. I mean, Josh Rosen could be traded. Meanwhile, in Baltimore, they traded away Joe Flacco, a guy who isn't very good, but won a Super Bowl. Giants may want to pay attention to this at some point. But, I mean, Joe Flacco's no longer a Raven because Lamar Jackson was that good. So, I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Imagine if the Patriots trade for Josh Rosen.
I have heard rumors that they're in the market for one of these quarterbacks, whether it be Rosen or one of them.
Dreadful.
I mean, if he could sit for 2 years behind Tom Brady and then come out,
I mean, say what you will about Rosen, he's thought to be a very cerebral guy. Let a guy who's got that kind of smarts sit behind and learn from Brady.
He's been coached by
by
Jim Mora and Steve Wilkes. I would love to see that guy have a real coach. I think that would be so neat because I think he is legitimately talented.
And the things he's done at points in his career, even with those guys at the helm, like I always remember that comeback game that UCLA had, where he threw like 5 touchdowns in the fourth quarter to win that game, and just stuff like that doesn't happen by accident. There's something there, and I think if you're Arizona, it's an interesting situation with a new coach who's on the record as saying that if he had the number 1 pick, he'd take Kyler Murray long before there was a dream of him coaching the Arizona Cardinals, who owned the number 1 pick in the draft the year that Kyler Murray came out of college.
It's a perfect storm, and I don't even know if Kyler Murray is the number 1 pick for any other team. I really don't. The story
I
from
don't know
a
if
guy
Kyler Murray might not even be the number 1 quarterback for other teams.
That wasn't going to play the sport and now is going to be the surefire number 1 pick. I mean, that's incredible. That's happened in the span of the last 3 months. He must have
had some sort of inkling that he was going to be thought of that highly, though. If you see the kind of money he was turning, the $15 million he was turning down from the Athletics to go to the NFL draft.
Yeah, but when you're that high of a quarterback, baseball money isn't as big of a factor.
But he must really think that he was going to go this high.
Oh yeah, no, he knew that. I think he knew once he got a first-round pick level rating that quarterbacks are always going to be kind of more thought of. And then, once the whole Kingsbury thing took over, he
saw the writing on the wall pretty quick for that.
Smart guy.
My beer that didn't work very well.
He's already shown me he's a smart guy. Made a business decision. So we shall see what the Bills do, and we can recap all their activity as well. I imagine that they're going to be in the market for a whole bunch of picks. I think they have, 9 or 10 overall, so we'll see what comes of that.
I'm almost hoping they trade down, get like a mid-level first-round pick and a good complement of picks for that if there's someone really anxious to move up. I think this draft is very deep, but not necessarily very, stacked at the top. I don't think you lose a lot by picking a guy 12th or 13th over 9th, unless someone you really like falls down to that 9th spot.
I would agree with that. There's so much depth, I would say, especially the defensive line positions, that if you move down into the teens or even the high 20s, I think you're still going to end up with a guy that has potential to have an impact.
Like if Josh Allen's on the board at 9, I might want to stay there. If Hawkinson's on the board at 9, I might want to stay there. But if you're choosing between Sweat and Oliver and a couple other guys, I'd be taking phone calls.
Yep, I agree. So, anything else?
Yeah, any other pressing issues you guys want to talk about? Bills or Sabres related or not? Justin, you find your keys yet?
No, I've been here with you guys.
Oh, sucks. Sorry.
I don't know how keys work. Do they just magically reappear?
I hope so.
I think they can transcend.
It's going to cost $220 to get a new car key made for a locksmith.
Ouch. Do you have like a push start?
No.
Oh. You could just punch the window and that would be cheaper.
Well, I need
the car wouldn't start.
You need a key to start the car.
I still don't understand how keys work. But whatever. Whatever you want to do, man. You need a car in this city. That's what I've been told. It's a commuter city. All right. Well, I think that just about does it for us tonight. It was good to see you guys again.
Get the band back.
Thanks for having me.
I almost put you on your picture on the milk carton next to Chuck's.
I know we were. Well, I was been working on those week 3 projections and just trying to figure it out, but we got it figured out now. So we will be back at some point.
We're back next week.
Next Monday.
We want
Sabres
to go
coach maybe.
Hopefully.
Buffalo Bills draft recap, Buffalo Bandits playoff preview.
Yep.
We're going to do Mike's Fast Food takes. We're going to eat some Canadian candy, and we're going to see where it goes from there.
I like it.
Sounds
Jeff
like a
ready to
plan.
plan their show.
There you go. Already done. And you can find that show, this show, and all those other subsequent shows wherever your favorite podcasts are found on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, Podbean, and the like. We are on Twitter at 716 Sport Podcast and on Facebook at 716 Sports Podcast as well, where we are always happy to interact with all of you. You may be less happy to interact with us, but even if it's a one-way street, we're there walking it. I walk a lonely road, the only road that I have ever known.
We still need reviews.
I love Pearl Jam.
Yeah, review the podcast on Apple Podcasts, and we'll send you a gift card.
Or Google Play, too.
It works. Yeah, Google Play, too. We're literally giving you free stuff to type. You type all day at work. Win yourself free stuff.
We're going to review your review, and you're going to get coffee. Cool. Let's go.
Cool.
Bye.